Hi everybody! Welcome back to When Down Syndrome Meets Autism. My name is Brandy, and for those of you that are new here, I have a 15-year-old son named Dale, and Dale was born with Down syndrome and later diagnosed with autism. Now, Dale was diagnosed with autism around the age of 6, which is a little bit later than most kids are. Most kids are diagnosed with autism before they start kindergarten. But because Dale had Down syndrome and he was delayed in speaking and walking and all those sort of things, it delayed his diagnosis a little bit. I'm not sure if that's how it is for everybody, but that's how it was with us. Anyways, I'm so happy to see you. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We had an amazing weekend. Dale went on an Easter egg hunt for the first time in his life. I was so excited. I waited 15 years to see that. We went on an Easter egg hunt with an organization called Include Ozarks. They are amazing. I'm going to put a link in the description box to them. They are fantastic. They actually had magnetic eggs because Dale uses a wheelchair sometimes and he can't physically bend over to pick up the eggs. They had magnetic eggs and a long pole with the magnet on the end where Dale could use the pole to pick up the eggs. Kind of like those magnetic goldfish games that you see at carnivals. But it was an amazing experience. It was absolutely fantastic. Today's video is 10 things I hate that people do to us. And I'm going to get right into it. Number 10 is the sad eyes. It's the, oh, I'm so sorry. And they give you a little pat on the back. And then they give Dale a little pat on the back. And then they look at you and they say, you know, God only gives special children to special people. And I want to vomit when that happens. Because yes, I understand this is a special job. Yes, I understand more than anybody that Dale is a very special child. But every child that comes into this world is special. And every parent that comes into this world is special. So to lump everybody together like that just makes me sick. And for people to look at us and feel sorry for us, it infuriates me. There's nothing to feel sorry for us. Everybody has their own trials. Everybody has their own problems. And just because ours are medical or health doesn't make us any different from the people next door. Number 9 is the name calling. And people do it and they don't even realize. I was sitting in a doctor's office and the nurse actually called Dale a mongoloid. A mongoloid. That was a term that was used in like 1923 for kids that are institutionalized because they had features similar to the mongoloid race. And that just, it's so ignorant to use that term. That term hasn't been appropriate for years. And that's why after Dale was born, the doctor told me not to read anything that was published before 1990. And I understand because the things that were published, even in 1988 when I was a child, are terrible. I mean, the life expectancy is like 5 years. They use terms like retarded and mongoloid and simian and just awful things like that. I mean, this is a human being that we're talking about here. Don't ever, ever call anybody a mongoloid. Don't call them a retard. Don't call them a simian. Don't call them a monkey. Just, they're human. Remember that. They have feelings too. Number 8 is, have you looked into institutions? You have no idea how many times I heard that when Dale was a baby. I heard, are you going to keep him at home? Are you going to institutionalize him? This is my baby we're talking about. Of course I'm going to keep him at home. I would never put him in an institution. That's very, very antiquated. That was something that was common in the 50s. Whenever a child was born that was different or that had mental challenges, a lot of times those kids were put in institutions and forgotten about. And that is a big reason why the life expectancy was so short. And I understand some children cannot be cared for at home. I understand that. But Dale can be, and as long as I can take care of him, that's what's going to happen. Number 7. This is one that just kills me. They find out that Dale is 15 years old. And they look at me and they're so excited and they say, oh my gosh, he might be able to work at Kentucky Fried Chicken. Or, oh my gosh, he might be able to work at Walmart. Which is fantastic, but I can guarantee you, if I looked at their child and said, oh my gosh, are you so excited? He's going to work at McDonald's the rest of his life. They would probably slap me. So why would you do it to my child? I mean, there are plenty of kids with all sorts of abilities, with all sorts of issues that go to college. There are plenty of kids with all sorts of abilities and all sorts of issues that don't go to college. So you should never, ever put a limit on your child. And you should never, ever put a limit on anybody else's child. Because you know what? There's a model now with one of the big agencies that has Down syndrome. And she just walked on one of the major fashion shows. And it was fantastic to see that. So the sky's the limit with everybody. Number 7. Oh, excuse me, number 6. I messed that up. And I'm sorry for looking down, but I've got notes down here. Number 6 is I absolutely hate it when people talk to Dale like he's an idiot. Dale's 15 years old and people look at him and they still baby talk him. They still do the oopsie boopsie boopsie. And I understand, I'm a mom. I still call him boopsie. I call him bubby. I mean, he's my baby. I'll do that until he's 50 years old. But I'm a boy's mom. Boys' mamas, they're tight. They do things like that. I mean, my uncle is 50 years old, and I can guarantee if he wanted to sit in my grandma's lap, she'd probably let him. That's just how boy mamas are. So even though Dale might not speak, and even though he might do funny things, talk to him like he's an intelligent human being, because he is. Number 5, I hate it when people lump everybody together. And you have no idea how many times people come up to me and they hug me and they say, oh, kids with Down syndrome are so loving. Kids with Down syndrome are so happy. Kids with Down syndrome are so stubborn. But you know what? I didn't have Down syndrome and I was stubborn. My brother didn't have Down syndrome and he is one of the most loving people that I know. And yes, Dale's loving. Yes, Dale's stubborn. Yes, Dale's happy. But I like to think that he's happy because he has a good life, not because he has Down syndrome. And I like to think that's how other parents are too. So don't ever generalize anybody. It's like saying that all white people like to go to Red Lobster. Number 4. This is one that I think everybody should take notice of. When you're in the grocery store and your child looks at you and they ask you a question about what's wrong with the child next to you, don't ever shush them. Don't think that the parents are going to get upset. We know our child's different. We know they have Down syndrome. We know they're in a wheelchair. Your child, they don't understand. And if you don't explain it to them, they're never going to know. And then they're going to grow up afraid. And then that creates another generation like my generation, where the kids like my child get made fun of because the kids don't know any better. And they don't look at them as being human. They look at them as being something completely different. So if you can tell them, hey, you know what? He's fine. Why don't you go over there and say hi? He just has something that's a little bit different. Or ask me. I don't ever mind to explain what's wrong. Because that helps. And then that helps everybody live together a little bit easier. Number 3. This one is something that just irritates me to death. People ignore Dale and they act like he's not even there. So they come up and they talk to me and they don't even say hi. They don't even acknowledge him. And he's a living, breathing human being with a heartbeat. Come on now, say hi to him. You'd want that. Number 2, this is something that irritates me to death. People, you have no idea how many times this happens either. People will watch as a single person is struggling with bags and a wheelchair and luggage and all this stuff. And they're trying to open a door and they just stand there and watch. What's wrong with humanity to do that? I can't tell you how many times I've had to hold on to something with my teeth and hold on to Dale's wheelchair with one hand, stretch across the room and open a door. And there's like 20 people standing around watching. And I always wonder if those people are standing there looking at me, wondering if I can actually do it. And that's why they're not making a move. I don't understand. Okay, number 1. This is the absolute worst thing in the world. And this drives me crazy. It breaks my heart. Kids like Dale are not included. And this goes for with families, with kids, with organizations, with movie theaters. So many places don't include my child. I can't tell you what my heart felt like when my dad bought a boat and didn't ask us to go. Because I understand they were afraid. They were afraid Dale couldn't handle it. But you know what? That's my decision to make. And I can't tell you how many times we haven't been included in things. And that goes for family gatherings. That goes for going to the movie with classmates. That goes for going to a local amusement park with friends. And we're not invited because they're afraid Dale can't handle it. You know what? Even if Dale can't handle it, extend the invitation. And if we can't go, we'll let you know. There's no discomfort in that. At least we know we're welcome at that point. Those are my top 10 rants. And those are the top 10 things in my mind that separates us from them. And I can't tell you how many times we've sat on the sidelines and watched life go by. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't ever be that way. We should all be included. We all have to live on the same planet. We're all human beings. We all share the same DNA. So make the world a better place. Make the world a smaller place. And if you have a friend that has a child with a disability, or if you have somebody with a disability in your church or in your school or in your circle of friends, just include them. Talk to them like they matter. Help out when you can, because we're all the same. And we all want to make this world a better place than we found it. Thank you so much for listening to me. And I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your comments. I'd love to get a thumbs up from you. Our Instagram and email are included in the description box below. And I hope to see you again very, very soon. Have a great day.